Yes, yes, Sir Hairless here. Gigi De Lana. That is a name that has been recommended to me many, many times. I believe it's Gigi. I googled it and it said it was Gigi, not Gigi. Anyway, here we are. She is from the Philippines. I am no stranger to artists from the Philippines. We even have a dedicated playlist to them. So make sure to check them out afterwards if you're new to this channel. We will be listening to Gigi Vibes, which I believe is her band, and they are performing the absolute classic Fly Me to the Moon. Tritone Studios. If you've seen my videos before, you will know very well what Tritone is now. Diabolus in Musica, the devil in music. Very cool name with a little like trident emblem as well. That's cool. Sorry, I didn't realize that was part of the song. I thought that was just like an, I don't know, an emblem and a jingle. Sorry, I didn't mean to pause. Let's go again. Okay, she sounds very, very groovy. We will carry on in just a second. But first, very quickly, just a couple of things. I haven't got off to the best start there, have I? One, when I pause, and I will be pausing because this is a 6-minute long song. When I pause, it's because of copyright infringement issues. If I don't pause, I play the song all the way through, then my video is, well, it's like a listening or viewing alternative. I can receive a copyright strike. My video gets removed. That's no fun for anyone. So when I pause, that's why. Copyright. Two, I'm not going to lie. With that introduction, I thought I had maybe clicked on the wrong video or something. The introduction was very cool, especially this little chromatic fall. That kind of thing. I like when a song starts completely unexpectedly, not in the style I was expecting. All right, let's carry on.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. Oh,
that's nice.
in other words, yeah. Baby, kiss me.
She is singing with so much soul and character. Every phrase she's made unique. In this case, where we just paused, let's have a little listen again.
Fill my heart with song.
She is just embracing the rhythmic freedom, tempo rubato, literally meaning in robbed time, slowing down a little bit, speeding up a little bit, coming in a bit late or coming off late or early. To do that shows how much confidence you have in the rest of your band. After all, this is a performance by every single one of them, not just Gigi, even though she is the front lady, the singer. And I love the different kind of personalities of each of them, at least from what I've seen. This is my first time seeing them. The guitarist in the background in the introduction when he wasn't playing, grooving along, the bassist completely rigid, and I'll get onto his bass part in a second. Okay, well, we'll do a pause now. I just want to go over a few things. We're about 1.5 minutes in. Why is this song so famous? Fly Me to the Moon. Well, actually, let me just give my initial thoughts because this is a new artist to the channel. Let's just start with the setup. I love it. They're all just sitting down. It's quite a closed space. Makes it feel very cozy. Gigi's voice, so cool. Everything here is cool, right? Cool is the word I'm going to use. The backdrop setting, it looks fairly modest. Almost like a small bar or karaoke setting. Very informal. I'm not saying it is one of those. It just looks like it. Which is the opposite of pretentious. And I think that's a good thing. I did pause during the introduction because it was different to what I was expecting, and I might need some of your help here because the version of Fly Me to the Moon that I grew up with,
Fly me to the moon.
That's the Frank Sinatra Count Basie version. It was not that version. The version that I grew up with before the singing starts, the bass line, well, we had a hi-hat, then the bass came in. Ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Fly me to the moon, you know, etc. like that. I just cannot remember the version. So if that is familiar to you, please let me know in the comments. Anyway, their introduction, quite extended, completely not in the style of your traditional Fly Me to the Moon. I really at this point was not sure what style this would be in. I was thinking, oh, is this going to be some sort of rock style? Quite a bit heavier than I was expecting. But no, then Gigi comes in.
Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars.
Really leaning into the idea of these phrases with the vibrato, the wobbles in her voice coming at the end of the phrases and the notes in the middle, or as we change, a lot of straight tone being used. So back to the question I was asking earlier, why is this song so famous? Well, I think, and if you've seen my videos before, you'll be very familiar with what I'm about to bring up on screen, our little friend, the circle of fifths. Now, you don't need to worry too much about what this circle is, but basically every letter here is a chord. So here is the chord of E, the chord of A, etc. The closer a chord is to another chord, the more closely related they are. E to A is 5 notes apart, and then A to D is 5 notes, D to G is 5, etc. That's why it's called the circle of fifths. This song, what chords do we get? E, then A, then D, then G, then C, and then eventually the cycle breaks, but it then repeats. To show you on a keyboard, look, here is E, then A, then D, then G, then C. You see that pattern? 5 just moving down every time, and that's what the song does. If we assign the chord of each of these notes, etc.
Fly me to the moon.
There it's changed.
And let me play
And then?
among the stars.
And again, it's slow, but we can hear it. Gigi Vibes, from what I'm hearing, seem very funky. They're jazzing up the chords a little bit, adding in some extra notes in there so the chords are not so standard and they sound a bit more scrunchy, a bit more juicy. So in their simple form, chord number 1, then 2, and then on the third chord here, the piano is really emphasizing this note, which is adding dissonance in there. And then we get the next chord. And then the following chord, that note is still in there, turning it into like a 7th chord, which really clashes with the root of this chord, which is a C, that we hear in the bass.
Let me
Dum, dum, in the bass. I'll stop there. I don't want to get too music theory. But yeah, overall, I'm really liking what I'm hearing. Very funky, very smooth, very cool. She has a gorgeous voice. Let's carry on.
fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please, please be true. In other words, I love you.
Oh, piano solo. Now guitar solo. Doing these little solo sections is very typical of jazz music, where everyone gets a little solo moment. I really thought Gigi was going to start singing after the piano solo. I thought she was breathing in to sing, and then the guitar came in and I was like, oh, that's a really weird singing style that she's doing. No, then the guitar comes in. We'll get to the guitar solo in a second, just a few more things. So from where we carried on, the main introduction in terms of the texture, which instruments we're hearing, was really the guitar, and it's playing in a very type of style, kind of a whammy type style.
All I worship and adore.
And it's really emphasizing this rhythmic pattern of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but it's not perfect. It's sometimes a tiny bit late, which is, I'm sure, done on purpose, adding in these very subtle syncopations in there, kind of like cross rhythms between the parts, especially when you have Gigi. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that really stands out to me is her rhythmic freedom with how she's singing, slowing down, speeding up. Why this works so well, I think anyway, and what makes it so groovy. The piano is kind of a mix of both. It's being kind of regimented. We see him jumping up in the right hand, then back down, but it's very chordal. Obviously not his solo, that's when he was starting to do rapid notes. The drums as well, they are regimented. The drums, they're the timekeeper. Percussion is the timekeeper. The bass part, very regimented. I love how he's just in the back corner, ba-dum-dum, dum, like occasionally playing ba-dum-dum, really stressing this idea of 2 notes at a time. Lovely 5-string bass. Sometimes the notes that the pianist is choosing here really add some dissonance. They're essentially changing the harmony, like the actual chord name if we were to define it, such as here.
Please be true.
And now he's resolved again. So much control in her voice, isn't there? What I really like about her voice is kind of how high she's singing in chest voice as well, or blended, but much more chest than you might expect at that range. But she really does not look like she's straining at all, or even singing with that much power. Really nice control, and it just contributes greatly to this soft, calm, jazz, funky sort of vibe that we get, or these Gigi vibes that we get. Okay, we just had a very cool keyboard solo. Now it's guitar time, I believe. If you enjoy these videos or find them helpful, please consider supporting me. Patreon has a bunch of exclusive benefits, behind the scenes videos, additional reaction content, Q&A videos, and more. For a one-time donation, you can donate me a hot chocolate at the Buy Me a Coffee link, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. And a huge thank you to these lovely people on the screen now. I was not expecting this change in section. Very reduced.
Let me play among the stars. I wanna see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words,
and I was not expecting this either. Is she gonna... Alright, we'll come back to this in a second. This video, as I mentioned at the start, is 6 minutes long. I was kind of expecting it just to be very smooth listening, very relaxing, just get into the mood. But things are ramping up a little bit. And to contrast it, what have they done? We just had this section, very reduced. These structural changes, having a really big moment preceded by a very quiet moment, make sure that it keeps the listener engaged, right? Especially in a fairly repetitive song, which Fly Me to the Moon is. That's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just how the song was written, right?
I wanna see what spring is like on
And it's just showing how good her range is. Low down as well, a lot of strength. And then shortly afterwards, lots of air coming through at the end of the phrase. Anyone who's seen my videos before knows that I love an airy voice when used at the right moment. The bass is still going. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. He did have a quick moment in the reduced section of some slide and slap bass, but otherwise, yeah, it's quite a rigid part. Very important part though, integral, and it's something that we get really familiar with. I'm probably subconsciously like mouthing along to it. I'll see when I edit. All right, it looked like we were approaching a larger bit, so let's see what that's about. Now we're getting like a scat section. Is that going to be a scat section? Yeah, wow. As I was listening to that, I was just thinking, so she went up to... So the highest note she's going to is here, which is a D, one note below it here. That's a C. I often use that as a reference point in some other videos when talking about ranges. I call it the wow operatic tenor moment. Now, Gigi is singing higher than that, which is to be expected. She's a woman, not a man. But it's just the ease with which she's doing it is so, so cool. It looks so easy for her. It looks like she's barely even trying at all. With an arrangement like this that kind of has its sections, this is obviously the, you know, the louder, larger section. The backing instruments as well, except for the bass. They're funking up their parts. We're having some crazy piano runs in there. I'm trying to kind of keep track of everything, but I can't. It's impossible. I'm only human, you know? So it will be really cool to listen to this back after I finish filming. Let's finish up with the rest of the song though. Yeah, really, really cool. Back to the introduction.
Fly me to the moon.
A harmonic roller coaster there at the end. The guitar comes in, which is our root chord. But then in the keyboard we hear these two notes. So we're getting this really juicy chord at the end. I thought we were going to end on this unresolved chord. She's smiling. I was thinking, oh, are they going to end unresolved, you know? Leave us wanting more.
Fly me to the...
Didn't know what's going to happen here because at this point anything could happen.
moon.
And I was thinking, oh, that is such a nice ending. Which is, in that chord there, is a G chord. If I go back to our circle of fifths, that's here. And every major chord, because it's the major chords on the outside, has a related minor chord on the inside. And that's this one, which is the key of the song that we finish in. So I was thinking, oh, they're finishing in the related major chord, but then the guitar comes in and firms this difference. Happy. To a kind of sadder sounding finish there in the minor. Well, that was quite a long one, but it was really cool. If you have a long song, you think it should be long for a reason. Either you get fully immersed into the vibe of it if it's going to be repetitive. Fly Me to the Moon is quite a repetitive song. They made it longer than it is, but there were so many differences and new ideas coming in and out. Just really good fun to watch that. Listen to all the different instruments, what everyone was doing. I can confirm that Gigi Vibes are, in fact, vibes. So comment down below other songs by Gigi you'd want me to do. If you want to see more Gigi on this channel, I will be adding this to my Filipino artists playlist if you want to check them out as well. Comments really help with the algorithm, so do likes. If you don't want to comment any words, then let's do an emoji. Let's go for a cool emoji like you see on the screen, because I said the word cool probably 100 times in this video. So hope to see a lot of cool comments down below. Thank you if you made it this far for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.